All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Texas, the official podcast of the Texas House Republican Caucus. I'm your host, J2, aka Jordan, aka JJ for this podcast. My special guest today is State Representative Angie Chen Button from the Garland area. Those who are in North Texas probably know Representative Button well. Those who follow the Texas legislature certainly have fond memories of her stepping up with her enthusiasm, her positivity at the front mic. Please look forward to her this session. Every time she is at that mic, she is such a joy to hear from. She has such positivity about being a public servant. I'm a big fan. I make it known, and I think you'll be a big fan after this. I'm going to get out of the way. Let's talk Texas. Saying I am a huge fan of yours.
Oh,
you are by far my favorite representative because every time you are on the House floor, you are at that front mic, you just have so much joy for the work you're doing here. Like it definitely comes through. Where does that come from? Where does the energy of Representative Angie Chen Button come from?
Basically, I am just so appreciative towards everything I have today. And I know that nothing is perfect, but which give us a room for improvement. And also, I'm counting the luck I have, okay? And I know that there's a lot of things that today we can continue to work on that. But basically, this is a great country. Freedom, democracy, opportunity to pursue happiness, everything. And you get to just think about in this world, you look around at there, not too many places you'll be able to do that. So we just gotta be so thankful towards this wonderful country.
Yeah, America's worth fighting for. Texas is worth fighting for.
Oh, yes, definitely. I just love America so much. And I am saying this that it might sound a little bit, but this is okay. Were you born in the in Texas?
Texas. I'm a first generation Texan.
Wonderful, JJ. You are lucky. Okay, so the United States, Texas is your motherland. I came all the way from Taiwan. I was a poor and lonely foreign student. Listen, this is my promised land. So you see, both of those motherland, promised land, they are all great reason to celebrate. And of course, some people say, well, actually, I have a little nickname. They call me Miss Sunshine.
Yep.
Yeah. They say, oh, why you always so cheerful? I tell you what. Being cheerful only help you to achieve your goals.
Absolutely.
Of course, my husband would say, well, she's not really that cheerful all the time, yeah, but you know what I mean. Once again, there are so many things we can improve, but bear in mind, the freedom to pursue happiness, that's just incredible, and people don't always realize that. But coming from, the other side of the world, Taiwan is a democratic country, okay? But we also went through a lot of things and just look around in what's going on, a lot of, I tell you what, there is not a single day I don't wake up say, God, thank you. And I say the same thing before I went to sleep. God, thank you. I love you. I love this country.
Look, success through optimism. I think that if more people took that focus, especially nowadays, a lot of folks out there want to be negative. Maybe switching that positive switch will get this country headed back in the right direction. So obviously you have a very unique story compared to most of the representatives here in the House. I guess briefly take us through, your journey growing up here in America and what inspired you to get involved in the Texas legislature of all things.
Well, first, I was born and raised in Taiwan, and I came to this country at the age of 24 to get my graduate degree. And I studied at the UTD, and I met my wonderful husband, and he was my classmate. Of course, he claimed he told me everything, and even today he still correct my English, okay? But that's fine. That's great. So after I graduated, I went to work for Texas Instruments, a very, very great company. And I enjoy my job very much. And I always like to give back. So I started to do a lot of volunteer work. And one day when I was in the TI office, my personal cell phone rang. That was Senator Florence Shapiro.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
She says, well, she knew me because we work on some education issues. And she said, Angie, I want you to know I heard about that the incumbent in your area for about like more than 20 years is about to retire. I want you to come out to vote, come out to run, okay? Then I just left. I said, Senator, thank you. But you think the people in our region are ready to elect a funny Asian American girl, and, I speak funny English. I have to admit that. And she said, no problem. You are going to win. I know that. Okay. So there's another dear mentor of me is, that's why later on we're going to talk about helping the Republican women, young women. Another wonderful mentor of me is the former Dallas County Commissioner, that Maureen Dickey. And she and Senator Florence and another former state representative from Houston area, Dr. Martha Wang, she's the first Asian American woman got elected to the Texas House. And they were talking about trying to get me out to run, and I said, well, I like my TI job, and I kind of, I think I can kind of help out behind the scene. And they said, oh, nothing wrong with getting to the front scene, okay? That's why later on I'm going to talk about young women. Please do not think you can do a lot behind the scene. Yes, you can do a lot behind the scene, but if you can come out to do more up front, the impact will be even bigger.
See, this is what I love about these conversations is through no fault of my own, I'm young, and so
yes.
I only have
and
so
handsome too.
Thank you. We'll move past that. My mother will be proud to hear that her genes carried on. But I love these conversations because I'm young and I only have so much institutional knowledge. And while, growing up in Houston, I know some of the big players from the late 80s, early 90s, but I don't know the Dallas area, and I like to learn more about the Texas area. It is so great to hear about the women, and everyone knows a Texas woman is a force to be reckoned with. And so I imagine you just amplify that with your sunshine. But talk about that. Obviously these women had a profound impact on your life
yes.
and getting you to run.
Right.
What did you learn from them serving as mentors to you, and that impacted you in turn being a mentor to the next generation of young Texas Republican women?
Excellent question. Actually, let me be really, really candid with everyone. Women, we tend to criticize ourselves so much, then sometimes we lose our confidence in ourselves. We always say that, well, we can do better if I do this, if I do that. But men don't think that way. They think, hey, Well, for example, they joke about that in a class. Okay, if the teacher asks some questions. Boys are usually the one raise their hands and says, "Oh, me, let me." But girls always think about, well, yeah, maybe my answer won't be that great. Wrong. Always remember, I read it somewhere, okay, from somewhere. It says, if you're not on the table, you are on the menu, and which is kind of I don't quite agree, but that also implies that be courageous. Take your chance, be bold. Yeah, everybody can improve, but don't talk yourself out of things. In our life, usually when we get to the time ready to go to see our Lord in heaven, please do not think about the things that feel regret the things you have not done. Regret the things. I'm working on my English. Don't regret the things you have done wrong, but regret the things you have not had the courage to come out to work. And what would be the worst case? You don't make it, but at least you can tell yourself, I tried to do my best.
Yeah,
and make a difference.
And you learn so much in the process, right?
Right.
But risk is a tough thing for a lot of people to take on, and especially in the political realm. I guess for you, where did that strength come from? The strength to face that adversity, to face the challenges that you were creating yourself mentally, because it seems like that was the initial hesitation to get into politics at all, as you created some mental roadblocks for yourself.
Well, think about that. Why a poor and lonely foreign student came all the way here? I really didn't have, when I was at graduate school and UTD, I spent $1 a day. $1 a day. Yeah. So like right now, I don't eat those cup noodles because I ate too many cup noodles.
But that's my parents and hamburger helper.
Yeah, well, when you came from a very, very tough environment, which will actually strengthen your ability to overcome the barriers, sometimes I think, well, I made it. I overcame so many barriers. So what's the big deal about this one? You have to think about this way. You have to kind of put yourself into this positive thinking. And that helped me big time to overcome the barriers in my life.
I'm learning so much, even for myself, and I'm not a young Texas woman aspiring to politics. I would love to talk so much about your history, and I think we definitely should bring you back again for a little bit longer discussion, especially in how you've seen Texas change for immigrants, for young women, all of that stuff. But we are in the middle of a legislative session,
yes,
and we are starting to hit the fever pitch. The bill deadline. The deadline for
last Friday.
Yes, thank you.
60 days.
Yeah. And so now we're moving. Committees are meeting. Some have already voted out bills to head to calendars, go to the House floor, all of that stuff. Before we get too deep into it, first, what committees are you serving on this session?
Yes, I am very lucky to chair the International Relations and Economic Development Committee. And I'm also a senior member of the Ways and Means Committee. I just love both the committees. And my top priority during this session, let me just kind of break down in 3 bullets. Okay. First is economic recovery. Okay. Definitely important as we are stepping out of this, this terrible, zone, okay? And hopefully that we will resume our booming economy before all those terrible things happen, okay? But then we got to be prepared. Is that okay? I mentioned some of my bills.
Yeah, please.
Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, and if you've got bill numbers, make sure you include those.
Yeah. Okay, first, the HB 7, which I've been working diligently, that basically is a lot of people got laid off last year, and some this year they come back a little bit. But then, the Texas, the workforce commission, our unemployment, the insurance, the benefit is really a trust fund. It's not paid out of the general revenue like the HB01.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the employers based on the history and based on the general economic environment, and then since last year, it just is so much suffering, and so my bill says that if the governor, declared over 50% of the counties under as in the disaster zone, okay, we can waive this requirement to calculate. This is really a long and very, very complicated formula. But basically, let me make it simple, is that it will allow the Texas Workforce Commission to have some flexibility, and you can, it's like, that it's not doing anybody a favor that waived into to pay, which I don't, we're shocked by this $1.9 zillion and aid, but being a conservative Republicans, a lot of things I think are porks. Okay, I don't agree with that, but that's why we come out this HB7 is yes, we are still going to make up that the trust fund, but let's make sure that we allow the employers have some flexibility to pay that fund to build up the fund with a longer time. It's more like, my husband was joking, it's like 15 years mortgage loan. Now you can, if it's necessary, you can extend to the 30 years. It depends on the workforce commission's decision. So absolutely, there's no favoritism, but it will give the business, the owners, the employers, more flexibility to help out, so they can, recover and hire people, retain their ex-employees back, or something like that. So like that. Okay, first. Second thing is that...
So real quick, that's House Bill 7?
Yes, House Bill 7.
Yeah,
okay.
Sounds like a real strong pro-business, helping make sure that we are preparing the state for the future by ensuring that fund that the Workforce Commission operates out of has time to grow while not stymieing the recovery of those small businesses that were impacted.
Absolutely, and does not require the state to to take the general revenue out of the budget to do that, because it is supposed to be a self-sufficient trust fund, and let's keep that way, but temporarily give them a little bit of help so they can, build it up. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and there are several other related, I'm just skip to my second top priorities, that broadband, the high-speed internet. For example, I have a HB 1511, and there are several very important the broadband internet bills out there.
Yep.
I would be happy any of them, any of them Republicans bill or good conservative bills got passed through, because as you can tell from the education, from the workforce, work from home, and from a lot of things, we need that kind of in order to move into the next booming zone. Okay, so we need that. And then the third bullet, I think, is continue to be very important, is the pandemic recovery and pandemic prevention. Let me put it this way. So I am helping to make sure that our state will have more real high quality, the public health school of public health within the medical school. So those are the people who will come out have a long way strategic planning to help our state make sure our state is in good shape. So that there's a top 3 that priorities for me.
Well, and that's smart to use the existing medical schools because a lot of them already have, campuses set up throughout the state, or
That's
at least
right.
in
That's
key areas around the state. So dispersing that personnel from those launch points seems like a great starting point.
Right.
So we got HB7 to help with the recovery aspect, pro business, but also making sure that we keep that unemployment fund solvent. HB 1511 is the other one on broadband expansion, which I'm glad you brought that up. Chairwoman Click, when we had her in for
she's
the
a
podcast.
wonderful friend of mine. We talk. Well, our preferred time to talk is a Sunday evening. She'll call me up. Hey, Angie, how's your week? She's just a wonderful, wonderful person. A big sister to me.
See, I love hearing about these relationships and members just talking to each other about life, outside of the Capitol. When she was here in the podcast, her piece on broadband expansion was really about the telehealth side of things and really expanding.
Oh, that is important. Yes, that's what actually I mean to say that, for that broadband expansion, the workforce, the education, and the medical. Yeah, very, very important. Yeah, personally, I think I had 3 telemedicine because the regular exams or whatever, you just cannot do that last year. Now it's much better, but it was very, very important.
Yeah, and especially as we look at solving those issues out in rural Texas, making sure those folks get taken care of. I guess you've been in the legislature for a little bit of time now.
Yes, my first term is back to 2009.
Okay, so you were part of that early stage of Republicans. I describe it as this new era is a bad word. It's the only one I can think of at the moment. But the new era of Republicans, conservatives in Texas who were stepping up as they were watching what was happening at the federal level. And
exactly.
So I also believe I grew up not far from your district. I grew up in Mesquite, and you're Garland area, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, lots of friends in the Garland area. So,
Mesquite is a wonderful place. I have a lot of friends there too.
It's grown a lot since I left over 15 years ago, but I've been back a few times, and they're still holding on a little bit of that sleepy country town, rodeo town.
Actually, you like that, don't you?
Oh yeah,
that's what makes it so unique.
Yeah. Well, the thing I always joke with people is somehow Fort Worth has still remained that sleepy rodeo town. It's but it's also such a fun, vibrant place. But we'll let their chamber promote them. For your district, though, what are some of the things that you're hearing from constituents? North Texas doesn't face as much of the, coastal mitigation stuff. So what are some of the priorities for your folks back home?
Oh, well, definitely the property tax, continue, and the appraisal process, a lot of people care for. And also still got the concerns about the pandemic. And there's actually a lot of discussions, and sometimes I can say even fights for trying to get adequate vaccines. You heard about the county, the city, everything,
Yeah.
Yeah, and Garland has our own vaccine hub, and then starting this week, the UTD,
your alma mater,
my school, they also come out to kind of administrated by the UT Southwestern as a hub center, so those are very continue to be very, very important, and then. Also, of course, everybody affected by this ice storm, snowstorm. So a lot of people are concerning about what's going to happen, you know. And Garland, we have our separate power, you know, company called you know, that Garland Power and Light. But a big part of my district also is under the Encore. So it's a very interesting. So we're watching our. I'm not a member of the joint committee. I was joke about this with Chairman Chris Patty and Chairman Goldman. They really got their hands full. But it is such an important issue. We need to address it. We need to address with a very, very thoughtful process. Make sure the solution is a long-term solution, and it's both preventive and also kind of like fixing the problem. Okay, we cannot just you know, jump into we cannot jump into the solution without really going through the process, because you don't want to have those unintended consequences. And I can tell, you know, a lot of my colleagues are wonderful, always try to do great things, but if we don't put into the adequate preparation and check out everything, and very easy to have an unintended consequence just because too many things can affect the result.
Yeah, and Chairman Patty in the last two State Affairs Committee hearings has been on a fact-finding mission, essentially bringing in folks to get updates on everything. And this Thursday will be the first committee hearing where they're wading into the legislative
that's right.
side of things.
He told me yesterday when I talked to him. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So the solution bills are starting to make their way through the legislative process, those public debates and stuff like that. A lot of folks back home using the public comment portal that the House set up. Are you hearing from folks interested in that?
Yes, actually, you know, I got a lot of input, which I appreciate. They care. That's why they have the input. And our office had the weekly email out, you know, to summarize all the information so people can feed that. Yeah, so we also listed the proposed the bills to address those issues, as well as how you can, you know, be on top of all the issues. And you know, why this democracy system is so precious and so important is in this country. We were born, or we were, you know, become citizens. You immediately get to speak what's on your mind. Even you're just a green card holder, you can come here. Even I guess you're visiting, you get to speak things on your mind. You have the freedom of speech. You have the freedom to do the things you truly believe, as long as you don't violate the law. You know, so that's so wonderful. Yeah.
That's a perfect way for us to end and segue. Before we get out of here, for those folks who maybe don't have your e-newsletter or want to keep up with everything happening with you here in the Capitol, what's the best way to do that? Where can they find your website, social media, all that stuff?
Yes, you know, I have Facebook. I have my website, you know, and I have my just Google. You're gonna find out a bunch of you know, ways to contact me. And I really appreciate everybody's input, and I try to get back with them personally, but you know, sometimes cannot, just got too many things. But my office is very responsive. And before we conclude today's exciting, cheerful interview, I do want to say that this is the month of Women Heritage Month. Gentlemen, and please celebrate this month with ladies. And you know, I am very lucky. I always believed, you know, they say that behind every success man there is a success woman, and the same thing, behind every successful woman there is a successful man behind. Okay, and I always joke about my husband is the smartest man on earth. And somebody say that's because he discovered you. And I joke about, say, no. I sincerely believe that we work together to make this world a better place. And once again, I appreciate JJ you inviting me, and that this has been such a pleasant interview. And
we're gonna have to bring you
back.
back. We're gonna have to bring you back so we can talk a little more, spread some more sunshine across the internet as best we can. Thank you so much for coming by. I'll let you get out of here. I know you got more meetings, getting ready for the
I got another meeting coming.
Yeah, all this stuff.
And the ladies, don't think you are good at just behind the scene. Think about this girl with funny English can make it. You can make it too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Representative Button. Thank you so much. Hey, before we get out of here, real quick reminder, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcast, iTunes, whatever they call it these days, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You're watching on YouTube or Facebook, make sure you give us a follow. You can find the Texas House Republican Caucus on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TXGOP Caucus. Make sure you head over to our website, TexasHouseCaucus.com, for the latest on the Texas legislature, as well as our membership directory, news updates, find the podcast, all kinds of stuff there. TexasHouseCaucus.com. We thank y'all for listening. As always, we'll be back next time. Let's talk Texas.